Hello and welcome back to the channel. If you've seen my initial review of the 8Y RS3, you would have seen that I'm very impressed with the ride height and the way the car rides over UK roads. One thing I'm not so happy about is the ride height. So with the G80 M3, MSS worked their magic. The car was handling and riding very well from the factory. It's just sitting very high. And with the MSS kit, we were able to lower it to get it where we wanted it aesthetically without ruining what BMW had done with that car. Let's see if they can do the same thing with the 8Y RS3. The MSS kit has now been fitted to the Audi RS3, so let's take a look at the visuals. We've lowered the car 30mm on the front and 25mm at the rear. That is the maximum drop on the front. Can come down a little bit more on the rear, but I think you'll agree with me that aesthetically this actually does look really good. Now that is personal preference. I don't like to have the cars sitting at stock ride height, nor do a lot of our customers and people who buy cars that have a performance nature. They like it to sit a little bit lower and look a little bit more sporty. Now the suspension was exceptional in terms of ride and handling on this Audi, and I want to make sure that the MSS doesn't negatively impact on that while providing the aesthetics we need. So let's jump in the car and see how it drives. So back on the road that I tested the car out with stock suspension for the first time, and I was suitably impressed with this car. Surprisingly for me, because I've been vocal about how much I don't really like the way Audis drive. They really nailed the design of the cars, the interiors and the functionality, but not so much the driving experience. This car is a lot of fun, and the MSS suspension has just provided that aesthetic drop that a lot of people crave, and it hasn't taken too much away from the comfort, which is a challenge on these newer cars now, because the manufacturers in the last generation have been getting the ride and the handling pretty much spot on. The previous generation 8V wasn't that great, and the MSS suspension provided the lowering, but it also transformed the handling of the car and the ride. But with these newer cars, the challenge is to lower it aesthetically and not impact negatively on the way the car rides and handles. And I would say on lower speeds, you can feel something's been changed. So I wouldn't say it's more comfortable, it's a bit more stiffly sprung, but once you start moving, it's about the same as stock. So I think that challenge has been met. It's still a lot of fun. You can tell something's been changed. It's not as transformative as it was on the 8V, because I didn't really think the 8V was a great car out of the box, and the MSS suspension did help with the way that car rode and handled. But yeah, it's just more of the same, but just with the looks really, which is no bad thing. I have to say, I'm so impressed with this car. A lot of people have asked me what it feels like compared to the Yaris. Maybe we'll do a comparison video. It's not completely fair. The Yaris is a very special car, but it's a bit like a very angry Yaris. That's a term I would use. So I've got this in RS individual mode, so I've set the suspension to balanced. If I push that button again, that'll go into its default setting, which is comfort. And yeah, you can just feel the damper is a little bit softer, not taking those corners as sharply, but it's again riding like stock. So on that basis, MSS have delivered on providing a good aesthetic without changing the ride quality too much, which I think is a win on this car, much like on the G80 M3, because both of those cars are just so good out of the box. So overall, I'm happy with it. It's done what it should be doing. The car was so good out of the box, I wasn't expecting massive improvements. But if you want to lower the car aesthetically and not ruin the ride and handling of the car, the MSS is a very good option for you without going for a full coilover. Just before we go, we do actually have one more surprise, so stay tuned and I'll show you what we've done to the car. So just when you think the video is over, we've got one last surprise for you. What normally happens when we lower a car? Yes, that's right, we put a new set of wheels on it, and in this case we've fitted a brand new set of 660 Rotellers. It's a new design that was inspired by the Audi rotor wheel, and as you can see, it's our modern take on it, and it works extremely well on this car, and I think it will work well on any VAG car. So much so that I'm inspired to get a set for Venturi's newly acquired Lamborghini Urus. Thank you so much for watching, guys. If you liked the video, please remember to smash that like button, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel. If you want to join the conversation, please drop a comment below and we'll try our best to respond to you. If you want to watch more of this project, you can do so over here. If you want to watch what YouTube thinks you might like from our other content, you can do so over here.